Alright, so we're back. We got all the parts we need to make the repair. I have cut the pipe off down in the basement to accommodate the repair coupling that we're putting on. So I had to take into account the size of this repair coupling and the flange, the collar on the flange here, so that it didn't end up being off the floor, because you want your floor flange to sit flush with with your subfloor, because when you're done furring the floor up, you want it to be flush with the top of this, and that'll keep your toilet from wobbling. So okay, so we're gonna get right into it. Hopefully the head cam is working. I usually don't use it this way, but hopefully the head cam is focused or zoomed into what I'm doing here. So we're gonna try this out and see. I think it's a good way for you to see up close what I'm doing. So let's go ahead and we've got this cut off. We're prepped. Everything is clean. I checked it, kind of dry fit it a little bit to make sure this will slide on there. Didn't put it on all the way because I didn't want it to get stuck. So what we're gonna do is we'll glove up and we're gonna go right into the PVC cement business. Be able to do all this from up here. Okay, so this is primer, so we're going to prime first. We're just going to work it all the way around there. Okay, that's primed. Now we're going to prime the inside of our coupling. Okay, so now we're primed up. Now it's the glue. So here's the glue. So same drill. Add the glue right to the outside. I nicked the side of the pipe a little bit right here, so I'm just putting a little extra glue right there where that nip is on the side of the pipe, just so it doesn't cause us problems later. Okay, so we've got that. Now we apply glue to the coupling side. Again, I'm going a little much with the glue, but my cut was a little rough in the basement and I don't want to come back. So now we've got a limited amount of time to slide this fitting on. So we'll go ahead and drop it down on there and then push it down. Okay, and now when you do PVC glue like this, you want to make sure that you firmly hold it in place while that glue sets up, because if you put it on and then you watch it, like you take your hands off it, it actually pushes the fitting off. It must be the chemical reaction or something that happens when the cement touches the pipe or the plastic pipe. But you've got to definitely hold it, especially something like this that's sensitive, as far as how long, when the distance is so close like this. So we just let that firm up. That feels good. We'll just go ahead and dry fit this collar. Look at that, it's going to sit on there pretty well perfectly. As far as clearance goes from the repair coupling to the flange, the new toilet flange. So what we're going to do now is measure off of the existing pipe to the top of this ridge, and I'm going to get that measurement. And then we will be able to cut a section of pipe to fill that. So I'm looking at 2.5 inches right there. I want to kind of measure it all the way around. We're a little less there, probably 2 1/4. 2 3/4. So you can see I didn't cut the pipe perfect all the way around. So if I cut a piece of pipe 2 1/4 inches, it'll slide into this fitting nice, and we'll be set. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to cut a section of pipe 2 1/4 inches long, and then we'll come back, we'll glue this on. Okay, so we have cut our piece that's going to slide down inside of here. So again, we just wipe this out, make sure there's no wood particles or whatever that's going to hang us up. So I'm going to go ahead and prime the inside of the coupling. I'll go just like this, prime that. Then we're going to prime the side we're putting down in there, just like that. Okay. Okay, that's primed. Now we're going to apply some glue. Alrighty, so we just put some glue on the coupling there. Then we'll do the same thing with our pipe. Add some glue to the outside. Alright. And we just fit that right down inside there like so. There's another one where you want to kind of push and turn. Make sure you're getting it down in there all the way, and then you want to hold it there. And you want to hold it there because that glue reaction will push it back out. So we hold that. Okay, that's good. Now it's time to do the actual toilet flange. Now something I do too is I measure off of the wall here to the center of the drain pipe, so that when we install this, we can see like the toilet bolts are going to go right here and here, and we can have it perfectly perpendicular to the wall. Nothing worse than you glue this on, you forget about it, and then your toilet's looking sideways. So nobody likes that. So definitely pay attention to that. I mark the floor so it makes it easier when we're doing it when the glue is setting up. So okay, so now we're going to prime this. Roll around here. Kind of a hard place to get with that floor in the way, so we'll just kind of go a little heavy, it'll run down in there. Alrighty. Okay, that looks good. Now we're going to prime the inside of our new floor flange, just like so. Alright. Now we apply the glue. Alright, same drill. So we're just going to go ahead and slide this on here. Work it. Now again, I marked with a permanent marker where the bolts go. So we're just going to make sure we got that firm. And then we just hold pressure on there because we don't want the flange coming up off the floor. Again, you want that to be flush with your plywood, and then my flooring will go around it. I've got 1/8 of an inch of underlayment and 1/8 of an inch of finished product to give us a full 1/4 of an inch, which will make it perfectly flush with the flange. And again, that's what you want so it doesn't wobble. Okay, that has set up. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some screws, screw this flange in all the way around, and then we'll be ready to tackle the other repair that needs to be made, which is the water supply service. Okay, so what we're going to do, we've got to remove this this broken 90 off of this short stub of copper here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to heat around it. I'm going to use my channel locks to work it and pull it off of there. So we'll go ahead and we'll strike the torch. And what we're going to do is we're just going to heat evenly around it, get that solder loose. And then we're going to pull it right off of there. There she goes, just like that. Alright, so that's slid off. So now what I'm going to do is take some sandpaper. I'm going to sand that nipple, and then we'll build our new configuration to come out the wall. Okay, I just realized the lighting was pretty low, so I just want to get a close-up here of what we're working on here. So I just pulled that broken 1/2 inch 90-degree copper fitting off of this location right here. That's where it was attached to the water service. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take where that solder residue is. I'm just going to take some sandpaper. I'm going to sand it down, make sure that my new piece will fit on there, and then we'll flux it up and solder it on after I build the rest of it. So basically I'm going to build the nipple assembly that comes out for the toilet, get all that set, and then that'll be my final solder inside the wall. So definitely think like that. You don't want to solder in hard to reach spaces as much as you can avoid it, and then also use extreme caution, of course, with the propane torch and wood framing. So obviously, we got all wood framing, a lot of flammables here, so we want to use extreme caution, have a fire extinguisher ready just in case. All right, so now we're building our configuration here to come out the wall. So now I'm going to do a solder joint outside of the wall here. I've got it supported with my channel locks, and so we'll go ahead and strike the torch, and we'll get to soldering this in. So everything has been sanded. I cut the pipe, I sand everything with a little emery cloth. I use a wire brush. Right here is one for doing the inside of like the brass piece, the inside of the 90 that's going inside there. So everything you want to make sure you sand and wire brush it. Also, we applied flux. Okay, so we got flux here. We got flux on everything, and that'll help the solder get in there. So let's go ahead and strike our torch, and we'll go ahead and solder. So what I'm doing here is I'm heating up the fitting, so you get this torch to stay where we want it. Just heating around it should heat really fast. Alright, so let's get this ready. I should have had my solder out there a little bit farther. Okay. So we're just going to get this nice and hot all the way around. Alright, there you see it sucking the solder in. Alright, all the way around. That's a nice solder joint. Okay, so you just get it nice and hot, and then that solder just runs all the way around in there, and you're set. I have a really bad habit of putting on too much solder. I think it's just kind of like what you saw with the glue. I don't want to come back, but with practice, you get just the right amount, and then you'll be set. So, okay, so now we'll let that cool a little bit. We're gonna get the pieces in the wall set, and then we'll do our final soldering inside the wall. Alright, so got everything soldered on, got the pipe nipple threaded in. I added that copper scrap to the 2x6 there, so that'll give it some more stability when you're turning that MPT nipple in. But I just charged the system. We're good, no leaks. So now I'm going to go ahead and button up the wall here. I'll have to take the angle stop back off, install the escutcheon. But I wanted to turn everything on before I buttoned it up, just because peace of mind. I want to make sure nothing was leaking. So we're going to go ahead and button it up. All right. So I put the patch back on. Got my first coat of mud on there. We'll let that set up tonight. I'll sand it tomorrow, touch it up, and then we'll paint this whole thing, and we'll go ahead and install the toilet. So not a bad day for some unexpected things happening. So we've got the toilet flange repair, that's done, and the pipe nipple repair for the toilet. So came out nice. And you know, you got to do what you got to do. Sometimes things aren't straightforward. You're working with old stuff, so you just got to roll with it and just know that there's going to be, you know, some unforeseen conditions coming up. So not bad. Water's back on, no leaks. And okay, so we've got our studs in place. So those are in the flange with those fastening nuts, and so they're holding them nice and straight. Got them perpendicular to the wall. Now the instructions say to fit the wax ring on the bottom of the toilet for installation, and so that is pressed on there. And now we're just going to go ahead and set the toilet in place. I'll be real careful with your back, so safe lifting technique, so you want to keep the weight close to you. So just like this, keep the weight close to you. You're looking at those studs to line it up. Okay, I got that side, I got that side. All right, we are there. And we just kind of ooze it into place. I'll let her settle out. Oh yeah, that's nice and firm. So we just make sure that we are in fact perpendicular to the wall. Nobody likes a crooked toilet. So we're just looking at the mortar lines in the floor kind of as a reference. And that is nice and firm. So that's set. I'm going to go ahead and put the nuts on and tighten it up. Okay, so tighten down the flange bolts for the toilet and then put the white caps on. So the new toilets, you don't have to cut off the studs like you did in the old days, so they just give you some tall caps that go in there. But that's all done. Now we're going to install the tank. So you can see these bolts come in there with rubber gaskets. So they're sticking through. Those are going to go through the holes on the back of the flange of the toilet. I've installed the tank to bowl gasket. So that's on there. So now we're just going to set it in place and then tighten up those bolts. Just something I want to mention about the toilet is that the flange bolts just need to be hand tightened. Otherwise you might break the flange. So okay, so we're going to go ahead and set the tank in place. Okay, that's through the hole. And then they give you this special tool to use, and that's how we're going to install the nuts and washers on the bottom side of the toilet. So if you can see that there, it's going to be like this, nut on the bottom with the washer, and then I'm going to use the tool to install. Alright, so the tank is tightened to the bowl. Again, just use the special tool that they give you, hand tighten. So what you want to do is you want to tighten down, alternate between the two, so you can see them best in here. Alternate between the two bolts until the porcelain of the tank comes in contact with the bowl. And then once it makes contact and you don't hear it clinking, then you know you've got it set. Don't tighten it anymore. It's good to go. So now what we're going to do is we're going to hook up the water line, and then we will be ready to fill. The instructions say to only hand tighten the top. This is a 7/8 fitting. So we'll just go ahead and hand tighten this. Alright. And then this is a standard 3/8 angle stop. So we'll just go ahead and thread this on. And then we'll tighten it with our crescent wrench. Alright, so the water line's hooked up. It's turned on, the tank is filled. We checked for leaks, no leaks, we're in good shape there. Check down in the basement, make sure there's nothing leaking around the new flange or the wax ring fitting. We're all good there. The tank to bowl gasket is dry. So we are set. Toilet seats installed. Again, I just use that tool that they give you, you know, with the kit. So definitely keep that handy for anything you have to do in the future. But tank's full and toilet's installed. Again, this is Tommy Retro, and thank you for watching.